Welcome to Owning Life, a podcast about embracing the beginning, the end, and the messy middle of this lifetime. My name is Karen Jokotifa Alaye, and it's through my work in the death care space that I have learned about the importance of owning life, which you kind of have to do by beginning with the end in mind. So I am your friendly memento mori, a reminder of your mortality and a gentle nudge from the universe to take stock of where you are and where you're going and how you are meant to show up and who you are meant to serve. And I'm only here because I had to do that for myself. Let me tell you one thing that being an owner of life is not, which is very difficult for my Virgo brain. But to own life, you don't have to be perfect. In fact, I dare say that knowing your imperfections is actually the name of the game. You just have to be committed to yourself and to your mission, whatever that happens to be. So if that sounds like something you're down with, then I encourage you to hang out for a while and see if you and I are a good fit. Today, let's say as a way to get to know one another, I want to share with you my favorite book, which was a gift from a friend. The book is Illusions by Richard Bach, and my copy is very loved and pretty water damaged because I also believe that good books should be read in hot tubs and in bathtubs. And I'm pretty sure I've had this book for over 10 years and it's been around. It's traveled with me. It's been gifted and returned. So it's been around. While I love this book, I have found it to be contentious for two separate reasons. The first one is that some people feel like this concept has maybe been better explained by other people, or that the author, Richard Bach, is like not someone to be taken seriously. And I guess I understand why, because honestly, it's a really simple book. It's more like a little story or a parable. It doesn't take a lot of thought, although it does describe heavier concepts. But honestly, I love it because it is so simple. I'm not always looking for an academic challenge along with my spiritual ones. The second reason is because of its premise, and that has been the thing that keeps me from sharing this book as much as I'd like to. It's what keeps me from telling people, this is what I believe, because to believe in such a way is a really tough pill to swallow. And honestly, it opens me up to a lot of conflict, which I generally try to avoid. To say you agree with this book is to say that you believe in what may feel unfathomable. But when I read it, I thought to myself, finally, someone is saying what I believe. Someone is saying what I'm too afraid to say out loud myself. And since that time, I have found others that believe the same. Not only that, I've found a whole spiritual practice, a culture that believes that this is true. And to bring it full circle, when I was introduced to that culture was when I finally started feeling like I was owning my own life. So what then is Illusions all about? It follows the character of Richard, who is a pilot, as he befriends Donald Shimoda, who is a retired messiah. Turns out anyone can become a messiah if they try hard enough and if they have a copy of the Messiah's Handbook, a guide for the advanced soul. I know that can already trigger some feelings, but it comes down to the idea that you are here to do something, to bring your own special healing to the world, to have some kind of experience that you need, and that you chose it before you even arrived. Before I knew the term prenatal choice, I read this book, but it was through his analogy that I came to understand it perfectly. Somewhere in the middle of the story, Richard wrestles with the idea of like, why are we even here in the first place? And Dawn shows him rather than tells him. Together, they see a movie. And at the end, Dawn guides Richard through a conversation. And here I will summarize. We chose to see a movie. One experience that we walk into with some understanding of what we're about to go see. We go because we want to be entertained, or we want to learn something, and sometimes we go because we want to do both. We all have our own reasons for our selection, but to go to the movies at all is a choice. What if the same went for life, and we didn't just choose what we were going to see, but we chose the plot, we chose the timeline, we chose the characters in the story, and who was going to act in them. We chose where and when this movie was going to be seen, and even what the reactions were going to be. This is what Richard Bach is surmising in this book. And so that's it. That is one of my dirty little secrets, and you kind of have to be cool with me talking about this, Although you definitely don't have to agree with me, because I totally believe in free will and your ability to make your own choices. But I do believe in prenatal choice, and that we were all here to do the thing that we chose to do. But at the same time, I want you to know that reconciling that belief with the knowledge of how crappy the world can be, that's still a challenge for me. How easy is it for me to say, with my suburban, nice childhood, my good spouse, my good kid, how easy for me to say I must have chosen this life, and how kind of gross that I could think that someone could or would choose any number of the horrors that happen to people in this lifetime. I watch the news. I see those babies in Palestine. I've had to navigate the foster system as a caregiver. And in my work, working in death care, I have seen the most devastating things. And sometimes it's so hard to reconcile my beliefs to the world around me. But somehow I have found a whole community of people who believe the same. When I found my spiritual path of Ifa, my Ile, or church, if you will, puts the utmost importance on our Ori. Our Ori, amongst other things, is the chooser. It's the one that says, I'm signing up for this and this and this. I'm going to get this help. I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to go through this challenge. I'm going to get these blessings. It's our highest self, and it knows our potential in this lifetime, and it's always conspiring to help us achieve it. Our Ori is a concept that Isheshe Lagba practitioners all over the world believe. And not only that, see as our most important guide and asset. There's nothing that will happen without our Ori saying yes. And if Ori says no, there's no blessing that anyone could give us in the world that would supersede our Ori's choice. And when I found Ifa, I knew it was for me because of Richard Bach. And in my prayers, I thank Ori for introducing me to the concept so I would know that I was in the right place when I found my practice. There's power in owning your choice. There is power in owning the cards you were dealt. There is power in a relationship with your highest self. There is power in the struggle, and there is power in the blessing. And I want you to feel empowered. I want you to be your own Messiah. I want you to get every possible thing out of this lifetime experience that you have chosen. I want you to take shitty things and find meaning and purpose. I want you to spread your particular brand of joy. And I want people to see you thriving wherever you are, or no matter your circumstance. And yes, it's easy for me to say, but I'm also going to speak to people who've had a different experience, whose history is different from mine, but they're using that experience to improve their lives and the lives of those that they are destined to serve. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you stayed. I'm glad you want to own your own life and walk together in power. So I'm going to need you to hit that subscribe now so you don't miss an episode. And if you do, I promise to hype you up, to encourage you, to grieve with you even, but also to celebrate with you, because there's no telling how far we are going to go, but we are going to do it with intention, with the goal of reaching the end of our lives with no regrets, for you to have the full satisfaction of knowing that you owned your life. I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you next week.